All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, ATG, A Drift of Grace. Uh, my name is Brandon, and today I have a little topic. Well, not a topic, but I was just on YouTube and I came across this video. Um, it's called "I'm 40. I Wasted My Life. Don't make the same mistake as me" by Dad Mode in Dark Mode. So Dad Mode in Dark Mode is the YouTuber who made this video. I'll put the link in his of his video and his or channel in the description. But yeah, I just want to get into it, see what he has to say. I haven't seen this video yet. Um, yeah, this is my first time seeing it. I just thought the title was interesting and kind of just thinking about what I'm going through right now, and a lot of us may be going through. Um, Again, I'm like 31 years old, so I kind of look at these videos and maybe I could take some wisdom from it, some knowledge, and kind of apply it to my life. So let's get it started.
I'm 40 and I wasted my life. I've got nothing to show for it. No house, no savings, no career that I'm proud of. I'm pouring everything that I have into this channel because I've got nothing else. And if you're in your 20s or even your early 30s and you think you've got time, I'm telling you right now, you don't. I wish I had someone in my life when I was younger, someone who actually cared enough about me and was smart enough to show me how life really worked, how women really operated, and what I actually needed to focus on.
I kind of want to add on to that. I think in your 20s, I think you said in your 20s, you don't really have enough time, but 30s especially, like being 30, like I said in my previous videos, I've done everything I was supposed to do. I went to the military, went to college, started my career with federal government, and then the whole thing happened with the new administration, so I'm no longer working there anymore. But saved up money, got the good credit score. I just paid off car, no debt at all, credit card or car loan. So the only thing I don't have is a place, pretty much. Currently staying with my pops and everything, but yeah, other than the house, I kind of did everything. And when I look at my past, in my early 20s, I was kind of messing around a little bit, but then I got everything together, so then I could kind of coast in my 30s. Well, now in my 30s, and I have a lot going, but it's still hard. Even with everything that I've done all the way up to this point, it is still hard out here. And I can only imagine if you messed around in your 20s and try to get things together in your 30s. Like, I know I'm not super old, but I still feel like, 31 trying to find a job is still hard out here for us too. I'm going to keep continuing.
I didn't have that. I was getting all of my ideas about love and success and women from movies and idiots my own age who didn't know anything at all. So there was no sense of urgency, no perspective, just vibes and dumb plans and this fantasy that everything would somehow work itself out. And it didn't. In my 20s, I thought I was, super deep and cool and because I had tattoos and I knew some obscure bands and you know played drums and I thought being different was a personality. I wasn't building anything real. I was I was just chasing sex and novelty, hooking up with women because I was addicted to the high, not the connection, just the rush. I spent more time crushing on church girls who didn't like me and hanging out at coffee shops and smoking cigarettes, uh, drinking lattes, and going to hardcore shows. I did more of that than I did doing anything that would help me long term. I mean, at 23, I was playing ding dong ditch with my friends, like I was 13 again, thinking it was hilarious, which it was. But fun times. But I wasted so many hours just trying to get validation from people who didn't care if I lived or died. At the end of the day, I thought my life was meaningful because it looked cool in photos, looked cool on MySpace. But all I was doing was burning through the most valuable years of my life, the years where I had the most energy, the most flexibility, and the most time to build something meaningful. Nobody told me I was wasting it. Nobody. And when the world sees you drifting, it doesn't intervene. It just keeps feeding you distraction after distraction, lie after lie, while profiting off of your blindness.
To comment on that, it is true. Once you fall into these holes, they're really hard to get out, and there's not really anyone there to save you, especially as men. Like, once you're on your own, that's it. You're on your own. Like, good luck. Hopefully you have a family that can support you, friends, whatever. But very rarely do you ever have anybody like that. And so, like, like I said, when you start falling these holes and these have these bad habits, dude, it just steamrolls um, things just get worse and worse. Like he said, like that lifestyle he lived. In my early 20s, I was doing that too. I was partying a lot, and it wasn't until about almost 2 years I look back and realize, like, wow, that passed fast, and the things I was doing, and um, I wasn't. I was pretty much ashamed of what I was doing, and for years afterwards, I was ashamed to even tell anybody what I was doing. But after opening up, after turning to God, and forgiving myself, asking for forgiveness and forgiving myself for what happened, I look at that experience as a learning experience to, get to where I'm at today. So, yes, sometimes these things are bad. Well, majority of the times getting into these habits are bad, but um, if you just can turn your life around and learn from them, um, these would be some of the best experiences you'll ever have in your life.
And ignorance. And then fast forward into my late 20s, um, you know, then I got into a relationship that wrecked my life. She got pregnant and everything changed. And I love my son. I would never undo that. But that relationship, it was a disaster. I did not know how to choose wisely at all. I confused chaos and passion and intensity with love because no one ever taught me the difference. I thought it was normal for things to be dramatic and unpredictable. I thought that meant we were meant to be or something. I don't know. But instead, I don't know what was going on, but instead, I ended up in family court fighting for time with my own son, treated like an intruder and a criminal for wanting to be a father. And then in my 30s, you know, I mean, my 30s weren't the best years of my life. You hear that a lot. Your 30s will be the best years of your life. 30s and 40s. 30s were a nightmare. I was broke. I was depressed. I was isolated, missing my son constantly, and dealing with games and lies and schemes my ex would pull to destroy the bond between me and my son.
So yeah, man, that that is tough. And I see so many stories like his, read about it, um, about this family court system, and honestly, yeah, I don't ever want to live in fear, nor do I want to instill fear in anybody that wants to get married or start a family. But these court systems, um, they kind of uh, persuade you not to almost, you know what I'm saying? They incentivize you not to get married in a sense for guys. And, even my father was going through something similar, but he ended up winning the kids and, the very few men that get to have their kids. So I seen it. Luckily he came out on the other side of it, but I've seen it destroy so many guys. They say like the most important decision you ever make in your life, well, maybe decisions, but is who you marry and who you have kids with. Because after that, you're tied to them. Especially with a kid, you're tied to them for years. And I see this destroy so many guys' lives, especially like with child support, and they try to make it in life, and a good portion of the checks going towards the wife, and you don't know what she's spending it on. But um, that's just it's sad almost um, to see. But like I said, try to be positive. And it is kind of tough to be to see this and say like, yeah, I want to get married. Like I do want to get married, but uh, I don't know. Still on the ledge on this one. Not sure. I guess it does tie me wanting to go overseas, get married, and start a family over there, so I don't have to deal with the laws out here. But I don't know. Oh, we're gonna continue. Been talking too long.
I wasn't just dealing with grief. I was dealing with a system that didn't care if I disappeared. And yeah, a few times I, in the midst of all that, tried to date again. I finally started to see what I'd been blind to in my 20s. I was no longer that 27-year-old stuck in a 500 days of summer mindset, falling for manic pixie dream girls. Just because they liked the shins too. Now I saw the red flags clearly. Girls with baby rabies, daddy issues, manipulation, all of it. I could spot it instantly. I was like a bloodhound for that kind of thing. It's easy to detect now. That's the part that stings the most. now, now I'm 40. I hate my job, but it's not just that. I'm disillusioned by the world. Once you see how everything really works, how broken it all is, you cannot unsee it. Everything feels fake. The economy is a scam. Inflation is gutting families. People are more isolated than ever before. No one's honest. No one's fulfilled. And there's a deep apathy baked into everything now. That's why I'm here. This isn't a content hobby for me. This is me refusing to stay silent. This is me using what I have left to build something real because the clock is ticking. And also, you know, if I die before I can tell my son any of this, before he can know, I mean, he's almost 11, but I want my son to know that his dad didn't just give up, that I fought very hard and went through a lot, and that I bled in silence. That I fought to stay in his life tooth and nail. I fought to become something that he could be proud of, and I fought against a system that was way bigger than myself, that tried to break me. And so this channel, Dad Mode and Dark Mode, is part of that fight. It's my record. It's my time capsule, my legacy. It's my proof that I didn't just drift off into silence and was just passive. And I hope one day when he's ready, he'll understand all of this. And so, if you're in your 20s right now and you're listening to this, stop thinking you've got unlimited time. Stop doing it. You don't have unlimited time. You think it's harmless to keep chasing women and wasting money and avoiding responsibility. But one day, you'll wake up and you'll realize you've got no leverage. You've got no power, absolutely no clarity, and no way to get those years back. One day you will wake up and you will be 40. You will be stuck working a job that you hate with nothing to show for it except memories that don't even matter. That you constantly think about, and it leaves you with no air in your lungs. This pain, you know it. You know what that pain is when you think about, what once was. But yet every hour you waste now is a debt you're going to have to pay later. You should be building something: skills, discipline, financial stability, wisdom, a backbone. And if you don't know where to start, I wrote something for you. It's called Dark Mode Protocol. You can find the link in my channel description. I'll even leave it I'll leave it in the video description as well. And it's not inspirational fluff. It's not a self-help book. It's a survival guide for men who are sick of being lied to and want to start thinking clearly and acting with purpose. I'll go ahead and also I'll where whatever it is, I'll leave the link on the screen too to go, so go read it. And subscribe if you haven't already and you're building something, and comment if this hits hard for you.
All right, I think that's the end of the video. But yeah, I mean, he's right. You know, towards the end there, he said, "Your 20s, we think we have all the time in the world. We're not thinking about the future, and it's not until your 20s over, you're hitting 30, and then you're like, oh, and you start to panic a little bit. And some people don't panic; they just continue doing what they were doing in their 20s. But um, I can't imagine hitting 40 and still not do anything. You know, 2 decades of not putting work in, not trying to better your life, and oh, that's tough, and that's a very hard mountain to climb to come back and try to do something with your life, starting from nothing. But I don't know, it's been done. Um, I'm not saying it's impossible, but you know, I think unless you've built something, then lost it all, then you could build again because you don't have the blueprint. But if you don't have a blueprint like that and you've never done that before, that's so hard. But that's just me being realistic. But you know, never lose hope. Sorry, I was being a little pessimistic there, but yeah, even if you are 40, listen to this, don't lose hope. You know, once you give up, eh, that's the worst thing you can do because then you'll never try again, or most likely won't ever try again, and you still have years, decades left of your life to live. So keep trying, man. And yeah, I think that's it for me. I'm gonna log off now, and thanks for listening if you're still here, and yeah, catch you next time. See ya.